Martin? Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Wow, a hush went over the crowd. I guess it's that time. Welcome to the City Council meeting for December 2nd, 2014, the last City Council meeting of the year. It's a very special evening. Thank you so much for attending. I would ask our own very special Senator Tracey Eide to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Senator. Well, we've got a great evening before us, some business and some very special items to take care of, and we're going to have a presentation here in a few moments and then a brief reception. But before we get too far down that path, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, do you have a motion?
I do. I move to amend the agenda to add new item 7B, Council Bill number 664, the 2014 budget amendment for first reading and enactment. And this says 2014, I think it. That is correct. Okay, thank you. For first reading and enactment, and to renumber the remaining items in this section as 7C and 7D.
All right. There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion. There's been a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The matter's passed. Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you. I also would like to amend the agenda to add item 6B, the topic being a discussion of term limits for council and mayor.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. The matter passes. It's amended.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, all right. Now moving on. Now we've got the very special part of the evening. We have a very special guest with us today, State Senator Tracey Eide, who has been representing the 30th District in the State Senate for the past 16 years and 2 years in the state as a State House member prior to that for a total of 18 years. We have, when I took office earlier this year, I instituted what's referred to as the Key to the City program. And it's really a program in which we take the time and opportunity to acknowledge people that have, over the years and sometimes over decades, have contributed to the direction and the quality of life in our community and had a significant contribution to our community. So today, I will be awarding the Key to the City of Federal Way to Tracey Eide. I've got some brief remarks, and then I'll read the plaque, and then I want to give council an opportunity to speak as well, because we all have a very special relationship with Tracey, our state senator. I would like to acknowledge Judge Eide, who is sitting next to his wife, and I've had the honor of practicing and appearing before Judge Eide, and so thank you very much for your service as well. It's great to see you. And we see Senator Eide's daughter as well, a practicing attorney, and it's good to see you. And so why don't I go ahead and get started, and then we'll go through this. Oh, and I need my readers, my Costco readers. I'm getting old. All right. Senator Tracey Eide served 16 years in the Washington State Senate from 1999 through 2014. Where did the time go? And in the State House of Representatives from 1993 to 1994. During that time, she worked with 4 different governors and served on numerous legislative committees, most notably K through 12 education, economic development and rules. She is perhaps best known for her work as co-chair of the Transportation Committee, in which she was a strong statewide voice advocating for investment in our lagging transportation system. Senator Eide prime-sponsored 44 policy bills that were enacted into state law. It secured over $500 million in operating, capital, and transportation budget appropriations. More than $7 million obtained for the Performing Arts and Conference Center project, which include $5 million for the land, another $2 million grant that we got, and other funding as well. In fact, when we were getting some of these figures together, We were astonished at the numbers when they started being totaled up. Over $105 million in state funding for the Triangle interchange down on 348th. As a leader on transportation, when the Great Recession imperiled the Sound Transit light rail link to Federal Way, Tracey helped broker a solution that involves Sound Transit allocating $24 million of funding to move forward planning to reach downtown Federal Way, in conjunction with her own King County Councilman Pete Von Reichbauer, who also serves on the Sound Transit Board. Federal Way is one of the few committees in the state to obtain both a local infrastructure financing tool, referred to as LIFT, and a local revitalization financing, LFR, grant, worth tens of millions of dollars in infrastructure financing assistance. Responsible for shepherding the transfer of the West Highlands wetlands from the state park system to the city parks, and $350,000 to replace the dilapidated boardwalk in 2004. On the law enforcement side, Tracey has been a leader on auto theft prevention legislation, a bill to crack down on the use of look-alike guns, a measure to regulate secondhand transient dealers of precious metals. Let me go back. The look-alike guns was from an incident that happened on our very own streets of Federal Way, in which a police officer believed that he was imperiled by what he believed to be a gun, and the laws didn't fix it, but Tracey fixed that issue. Regulate secondhand transit dealers of precious metals, an issue that you and I worked on, and along with several people on the dais here. A bill affording police more time to resolve auto theft cases, measures to stiffen domestic violence DV penalties, and legislation to provide municipal courts with a special DV assessment. Senator Eide is a true legislative champion for Federal Way in the 30th District and leaves behind a lasting legacy that has no equal. So today, we have the key to the city, and it reads, Key to the City of Federal Way, Washington, presented December 2nd, 2014 to Tracey Eide, Washington State Senator, by Mayor Jim Farrell. Your decades of advocacy and service as a state legislator leave an enduring legacy for this city and state. Thank you for your leadership, commitment, and passion. Tracey, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And Tracey, before I hand you the goods and before we do the reception, I'd like the council to have an opportunity to say a few words. Councilmember Duclos.
Yeah, I would like to. Tracey, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you did for nonprofits down in the legislature. You were always there for us, and I speak personally about this as the head of the Multi-Service Center for 16 years. You helped those nonprofits continue to provide the much-needed services they did for the people in this community who were less fortunate than most, and that will never be forgotten. You were one of our greatest heroes, and as president, when I was president of the Chamber of Commerce, you helped us in terms of getting funding for our city in many ways too, especially the Triangle Project and some other things. And again, you were there for us. You stood up for us and spoke, and because you were so respected down there, when you said something, it worked. It happened. It really did. So your service to this community and its residents are second to none, and you can be proud of the legacy that you leave behind. It will be hard for anyone to match that, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. You are and will remain as one of the greatest legislatures that we will have ever had. And so, although your shoes are small in actual size, they left a huge, huge footprint for somebody to try to fill. So thank you so much.
All right. Council, any other? Councilmember Maloney, and then Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. Tracey, I really want to thank you as well for being such an instrument of good for our community. When I first came to you many, many years ago with an idea to keep youth safe online, it was kind of cutting edge stuff because online safety issues were new. No one really understood them, but you took a hold of that and you worked with me for a couple of years on that, and I really, really appreciate it. You worked with the Attorney General's office on behalf of keeping our kids safe when they go on. At the time, it was MySpace, but that's how long ago it was. But I really appreciate the effort that you put into that and the vision that you had. And as Deanie said, it's going to be so hard to fill your shoes. Thank you.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you.
And then we'll go.
I just want to thank you, Tracey, like everyone else up here, but I don't know if you remember back to the good old PTA days. And you worked like a tiger back then, and you kept it up, and it's, you know, never underestimate a PTA mom, because they can do whatever they want to do, and they can get things done in a very positive way, and you've shown that, and thank you so much.
Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you. Tracey, it's just hard to imagine what it's going to be like without your service continuing in Olympia. We've been able to count on you every day for your ability to speak for us at the city level, for the district certainly, and also for the whole state, for really for the welfare, the common good you always work toward. And I certainly recall during the time I was serving on various local, regional, and state transportation boards and committees, the respect that you always were always held in the highest regard, and there was so much respect for your abilities. We could always count on you to work for those projects and the kind of funding that was needed, and always to have the understanding of the intricacies of all the legislation that people found important. So I, again, also want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your years of service. It's been outstanding, and look forward to having some informal conversations in your spare time. Wish you all the best.
And before we go any further, I want to make sure that we acknowledge State Representative Linda Kochmar, who's here, our former mayor, former colleague, and she's here in support of the senator as well. So thank you, Linda, for being here. Councilmember Selski.
Thank you, Mayor Farrell. So, Senator Eide, I haven't had a chance to work with you very much since I've been on the council, but I can tell you as a resident of Federal Way and as a member of the City Council, I can't thank you enough for all the benefits you brought to us here in Federal Way. And in particular, there are two that I'd like to identify. First of all is the legislation regarding restrictions on cell phone use in the vehicles. To me, that was huge legislation. As a father who raised 3 sons in the era of cell phones in vehicles, I can't imagine the number of lives that have been saved because of this legislation. And so that's the first thing I want to thank you for. I know that took a lot of courage and a lot of work to get that passed, and that to me is just huge. And secondly, of course, the triangle. I, along with thousands and thousands of Federal Way residents, as well as residents of Northeast Tacoma, have benefited from that by saving time, easier transition onto Interstate 5, as well as much safer access as well. So I know many accidents have been saved, and that we can probably measure that very simply. So again, thank you so much for all you've done, and good luck as you move forward.
All right. Councilmember Moore.
Senator Eide.
This is not a roast.
Right.
Not a Dean Martin kind of thing.
16 years ago, when I was 16 years old, I discovered Olympia, and I called my state senator up, and I called my state representative up, and decided that I was going to go job shadow what our politicians did. And I went to Olympia and shadowed Senator Eide, and it was an incredible time. It was incredible to see how personable you became, and it's something I'll never forget, and it's something that means a lot to me. And the fact that you really took the time, you really cared, and had lunch with us, knowing how busy you were, giving us the tour. She even got me into a meeting with the Lieutenant Governor. I do remember that. And it was just incredible, and took me to committee hearings, took the time to do little things like acknowledge me, and doing that to a high school student was huge. and just all those things I definitely remember. And every time I stopped by your office, your door was always open. And Peter Dodds, he is a man I'm going to miss. Had an incredible sense of humor and just a really compassionate individual. And just clearly, you've made a huge impact in our community, and you're going to be missed. And I just appreciate everything you've done for me. I appreciate everything you've done for the community. I appreciate the fact that you've always taken the time to keep track of myself, even throughout college, just taking the time to write a little note here and there. Those are things I'm never going to forget. And I'm going to miss, well, I can't say it here, but I'm going to miss those days, those good old days when I was volunteering. So thank you for everything you've done for the people in Federal Way. Thank you for what you've done for Federal Way, and you'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
Okay, so before we do the next couple of things, I do want to say that, you know, when I instituted the Key to the City, Tracey was absolutely on that list of people that I knew were going to be receiving it this year. And I thought it would be altogether fitting, you know, I knew that the last month would be the perfect time to do that as you were sort of gearing down and doing this transition. But boy, it's been tough every time I've seen you for the last 6 or 7 months, not to say anything, but it's great to see you here today, and I think this is going to be a lasting, it should be a lasting reminder of the impact that you've had on this community. And I have this very distinct memory of being down in Olympia in your office with people from all parts of an industry. We're talking about the precious metal bill and about how that affected and all the players that you brought together and how we just essentially hammered out what was the solution in your office. And I just, as I was sitting there, I thought, God, how many other issues were hammered out in this way, bringing all the people together. And that's what a true statesperson does, is bring all the people together to solve issues that affect all of us. So I've got a suggestion, you guys. What I'd like to do is bring the senator up to the podium. I'd like to hand her this. Maybe we get a quick picture with she and I. But then I want the whole council involved in the picture in front of the dais.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I remember one time being in your office when we were looking for some funding for our building over in Kent, and we didn't get recommended, and I went in and I was talking to you, and you picked up your phone, and you called another senator, and right in front of me, bawled the out of her, and told her that she better straighten that out right away. And you know, the money was restored.
Wow. Wow. See, that's clout. And it highlights, you know, oftentimes people think that a lot of what we do is about policy and but it's about relationships. And the relationships that Tracey has forged in Olympia, throughout the state, on this dais, throughout this community, that's what gets things done. And that's why you were able to pick up that phone and make that happen. So on behalf of the 92,100 so souls in the community in the city of Federal Way, we say thank you. So let's... Okay, now let's get the whole council down.
That's beautiful. What is it open?
The key
Your office.
The key to our hearts.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's get centered. All right.
I swear about you, Susan, because I don't do the longest with our kids.
All right, ready? That's good.
Okay. Well, look, we have some cake. You guys, let's break for about 10 minutes. Jim? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did.
Well, when I get started, you know me. I wouldn't mind saying just a couple of things.
Okay.
All right.
Can I?
Yeah. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back.
A couple of things now. I won't be here that long. It's just short and sweet.
As always.
and I wrote it down. It's so teeny, and I don't have my glasses, but it just seemed like yesterday that I signed the Independence, Declaration of Independence for Federal Way. Remember that when we became a city? And it's amazing how fast time has gone by. And I stopped to think about it back in '92 when I first got elected to the House of Representatives. Then the Mayor Bob Stead came down to Olympia, and Gary Locke at that time was the Appropriations Chair for the House of Representatives. And there was a little piece of land called the Sisters of Visitation. Remember that? And we put together a plan real fast and got it into the capital budget so we could purchase that piece of property that now is known as the Dumas Bay. So art has always been part of my, it's something near and dear to my heart. And this fine lady's sitting over here looking at me. Boy, I'm going to miss seeing you in my office, Joanne and Betty. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to my wonderful husband who just handed me my glasses, and my beautiful daughter, and my handsome son who works for Boeing up in Everett, and he couldn't make it down tonight, but he called ahead of time. I couldn't do this job without them, and my husband Mark has stood behind me and beside me and held me up through the good times and the bad times, and I could not have done this service without him. And my kids, Joanna and Matt, are the best in the whole wide world. Matt was 5 when I went into the legislature, and Joanna was 9. Do you mind if I tell them how old you are now? 31. And and Matt is 27, and it's just amazing how fast time has gone by. But can you imagine being in high school and the kids are really giving you heck because your mother's the one that's doing the intermediate driver's license and they can't drive with their friends? I mean, these poor kids really have gone through some tough times. But I told him, you go back and you tell them that your mama is saving their lives. Peter Dodds was mentioned, and I have to mention it tonight, too. He is my chief of staff for 18 years. He was with me through the whole time. And let me tell you something, that's very rare down in the legislature, to have staff stay with you that long. But I knew what I had in him, and he was devoted to me as the day was long. And I tell you what, he has a job, by the way. He did get hired. Good. And he's making the same amount of money, so he's not getting a cut in pay, so that's good. I just wanted to make sure Peter was taken care of. But I wanted to also say thank you to the voters of the 30th District. It is so humbling, and to stop and think how many years that you let me serve, and it's just hard to describe. It's just so humbling, and it's been an honor, and it's been a pleasure. But I want you guys to know I have never, ever forgotten who I represent and how I got to Olympia, and that was the constituents of the 30th District. And it's been an absolute pleasure to serve. I've been blessed, and I thank each and every one of you. And I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to live here. So, but I want to say thank you very much, Mayor, for the key to the city. It means more to me than I can even tell you. And you guys are all terrific, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for coming. Hey, let's break for about 15 minutes for a reception, and we've got cake in the back, and we're just going to break and debrief a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and get resumed. Your Honor, thank you so much for coming. Let's go ahead and get resumed. That was really fun. You know, it's really, this is the last city council meeting of the year, and it's so much fun when we can really take a step back from policy and just really appreciate one of our own who's done so much for us. So, you know, I'd like to go a little bit out of order, and we have, and take one, not citizen comment, I guess super citizen, Representative Kochmar, who has an update for the community. Many people have probably seen the damage down to the boardwalk down in Redondo, one of the most historic areas of our community. And as Representative Kochmar was giving me a briefing about efforts she's going to make, I asked her to brief the council very briefly regarding what she knows about efforts to fix that boardwalk. The force of nature was incredibly powerful and actually literally broke those boards on the boardwalk in half and mangled metal, frankly. And so Representative Kochmar, former Mayor Kochmar, colleague, friend, would you please tell us give us a report on efforts so far and what we can expect?
Well, thank you. It's fun to be back here. It's kind of like old home week. And Lydia, I believe, no, let's see, it's Kelly. Kelly, you're sitting in my chair.
Awkward.
You can have it back. I'll change chairs with you.
Whoa! Oh, hello.
Thank you. Someday I hope you do.
Wow. Okay.
At any rate, I kept it warm for you for many years. The Redondo, a north wind blew in, like Mayor Farrell was saying, and it blew up our boardwalk down at Redondo Sunday morning. And the funny thing is the force of the wind and the waves and the ice cold weather, it was amazing to see actual girders pulled up with the boards. Yeah. It was phenomenal. The good news is that none of the underlayment was damaged, and so they believe the concrete bulkhead is not. They have to have a structural engineer, I believe, come in and look at it. But I think it's all right. About 1/4 to maybe a little more than 1/4, maybe 1/2 is okay. They're going to repair that and fix it, but the other southern part, the southern half, is not. That's going to be closed for quite a while. And there is normally with a disaster, there would be FEMA funds. Those waves are as high as we might have with a tsunami. With emergency management, they've talked in the past, if we have a tsunami off the coast, the Puget Sound is like in a bowl. And the waves would come in and come up, I've heard before, as high as 30 feet in Redondo. Well, I think on Sunday morning they came up that high because some people were telling me it was as high as their 3-story house. So the water did get into some houses down there, but in contrast to normal disasters, and fortunately we didn't really have one, this does not rise to the level of something that FEMA would reimburse for. So I'm working with the city manager, Tony Patasecki, for the city of Des Moines, and the mayor, Dave Kaplan, trying to find some funds to help them, to reimburse them. Although the city of Des Moines is in the 33rd district, Redondo and Woodmont is in the 30th district. And so that is my area. And so I've talked with the representatives and the senator from the 33rd. I've also contacted Senator-elect Mark Milosha, and we'll be trying to find some funds. I'm working with Steve Gorster with TIB, who Deputy Mayor Burbidge is very familiar with. And he called up Tony and said, "Hey, I hear you blew up my boardwalk Sunday morning." At any rate, we'll try to find some emergency funds. Whether or not that's possible, my office will be sending a letter to the TIB board, and I believe they meet at the end of January. And so we'll see. Emergency funds are a little bit different than normal funds. So we'll see if we can get some funds from there. If not, then we'll make an application to the capital budget. Now, I hear you also have some damage at the Hylebos Park with the boardwalk there, with some trees that fell on the boardwalk. And hopefully we'll be trying to contact the RCO office, which is Recreation Conservation Office, and see if there are any funds for them. There's another office that we might also be able to contact, in particular with Redondo, which is to do with environmental. And so I'm not sure what we'll come up with. I just wanted to let you know that I am working on it. I am here to serve. And so I am here for you. You are welcome to contact me at any time. I'll be in Olympia tomorrow for the next 3 days, and I'll let you know, Mayor Farrell, what I find out.
Great. Thank you, Representative
Thank you
Kutchmar, for that
asking
report.
me.
Appreciate it very much, your efforts. All right, moving on to item B of Section 3 under presentations, the Youth Commission Certificate of Appointments. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. At the November 18th City Council meeting, the council appointed 11 students to the Youth Commission. We have 5 of those students here, and I'd like to ask those students to come up to the podium. They are Robert McFarland, Jesse Goldstone, Alyssa Odom, Anastasia Costin, and Alex Kinsner. So go ahead to the podium. I'm going to read the certificate, and I will bring your certificates down to you. Certificate of Appointment. In accordance with Ordinance 14-774, the City of Federal Way Mayor and the City Council certifies Alyssa Odom and all the others is hereby appointed to serve as a voting member of the Federal Way Youth Commission for a term to expire August 31st of 2016, dated this second day of December 2014. You are more than welcome to say something.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to be on the commission. I know that we as a committee can give youth a greater voice in the community and engage them together as a community so we can build its greatness. So thank you.
Would any of you, would the others like to speak at all? Why don't you just say hi?
Hi, I'm Alyssa, and I'm also really thankful for this opportunity, and I am really excited to work with all of you and get to know you and work together to better our community and be the voice for the youth of Federal Way, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jesse Goldstone. I'd just like to thank the council members for this opportunity to serve on this youth commission. I'm going to put my best foot forward on this. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Alex and I'm looking forward to helping the community better with my judgment and skills. Thank you. Everybody.
You want to just say hi? Come on up, buddy.
Hi.
Well played. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for your willingness to serve. We're really excited about this. And I know that, you know, from Councilmember Honda, Councilmember SEPA Dawson, and Councilmember Martin Moore, they worked so hard on the subcommittee to get this started. And so we're really excited to see what comes out of this commission, and we're really excited to get you started. So I think Councilmember Moore wanted to say something.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do also want to echo the words and thank Councilmember Honda for her leadership on this, and of course my colleague Councilmember Lydia Salfa-Dawson on this. And I just wanted to chat with you guys for less than a second and say you guys are important. You guys represent the future of this community, and I want you to hear that. And as the youngest member on the City Council, I'm counting on your advice and your involvement and your dedication and being committed 100%, because this is a big role. And I know you guys can do it, and I'm appreciative, and I want to say thank you for stepping up and leading and being a voice of not just the future, but of your peers in the high schools that you guys represent. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your commitment, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Councilmember Moore. Councilmember Sefadossin. Sure.
I also wanted to say thank you so much for wanting to do this, for your commitment, and some of you are in advancing leadership, so I've had an opportunity to engage with you, and so I'm looking forward to working with you guys. You are the voice of our future, and so what you say, what you come up with, what you decide is very important to us, and so thank you, and really looking forward to working with you guys. Really excited about it, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I want to thank you also. I was so impressed with every single interview. You guys are just awesome. I can't say how excited I am because I'm just overjoyed with what I heard coming from all of your interviews and what I read in your interview applications. And so thanks very much. And starting in January, you're going to be working hard, but I know you can all do it. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you. I just want to say quickly, welcome to the work of the city. I have all kinds of confidence in you and what you will be able to bring to us and to bring to the rest of the folks in our wonderful community. Thank you.
All right, and with that, go forth and conquer, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, item C, Parks and Recreation Commission Certificate of Appointments. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. At the November 18th City Council meeting, the council appointed Anthony Murrieta as a voting member of the Parks and Recreation Commission and Don Coggins as an alternate member to the Parks and Recreation Commission. I know Don's here. I don't think Anthony was able to make it tonight. So Don, can you go up to the podium, please? And I'll read your certificate. Certificate of Appointment. In accordance with Ordinance 00-366, the City of Federal Way Mayor and the City Council certifies Don Coggins is hereby appointed to serve as an alternate member of the Parks and Recreation Commission for a term to expire April 30th of 2016, dated the second day of December 2014, signed by the Mayor and the City Council members.
Thank you, Don.
Very brief and to the point. I just want to thank the council for the opportunity, and earlier Susan made a shout out for PTA moms, so I'm ready to go get them as a former PTA mom.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, now we're on to the item D, Mayor's Emerging Issues and Report. We got some exciting news regarding Kalia Gold Standard Award with Excellence. And Chief Wong, would you please introduce your team and tell us a little bit about what happened down in Albuquerque?
Come on in. Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and members of the council. Up with me next is our Lori Jackson, who was our CLIA coordinator. She just did a fantastic job this year. And Commander McCall, who's our administrative commander, and he served as the accreditation manager for the reaccreditation. We are very pleased to report that the police department was officially reaccredited by the CLIA's Commission on November 22nd in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is our fourth reaccreditation as an agency, and we received the Gold Standard Award with Excellence, which is the highest standard and the most difficult accreditation a law enforcement agency can attain. Today, more than ever before, we need to ensure that we maintain the highest standards in law enforcement. This is what accreditation does for us. It ensures that we have sound policies and practices in place, and that our staff continue the quest for professional excellence. The process of being accredited as a law enforcement agency is rigorous, with less than 10% of all law enforcement agencies in the United States accredited. And the Federal Way Police Department is one of only 7 agencies in the state of Washington that is accredited by the CLIA's Commission. We've been accredited for the past 12 years, since 2002, and each reaccreditation has allowed us to get better and stronger as a public safety agency. We're very proud of the tremendous work by our staff to achieve this accomplishment and their commitment to provide the highest level of service to our citizens. I would like to recognize two individuals who played a key role in making this happen for our agency. They worked tirelessly to ensure that we would be successful with our reaccreditation. As I mentioned, Commander McCall, who was our accreditation manager, and Lori Jackson, CLIA coordinator. At this time, I'd like to present Commander Stan McCall and Miss Lori Jackson with the Police Chief Commendation for a job well done. All right, so please join me in congratulating these individuals. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Lori. We are now available to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, tell us, Chief and crew, tell us what happened in Albuquerque and what that experience was like.
You know, I could hog the podium, but I'm going to actually allow either one of them to just step up and just talk about our experience in New Mexico.
Ms. Jackson?
Oh, gosh. They told me I wouldn't have to talk.
Maybe you can talk about the gold standard, what that means.
I'll chat a little bit about, this is, as CLIA coordinator, this is my third reaccreditation process for our department. First time utilizing the gold standard accreditation process. And I will have to say I was so impressed because what that meant was the assessors, instead of looking at paper files, spending all their time looking through these drawers full of proofs, they looked at a very small portion just to ensure that we were on track, we were taking care of our time-sensitive issues, but they really spent the bulk of their time with the members of our department. And I really have to say thank you for the recognition. I really appreciate that. But I really have to point to each and every member of our department who they are the folks who really helped us to achieve this gold standard accreditation with excellence. And I'm very proud to be a member of our department and very proud of what we have achieved as a department. So, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you very much, and great work. Congratulations. All right, now the next item, we want to talk about our tree lighting at Town Square Park on this Saturday, December 6th at 4 p.m. Mr. Hutton, our Parks Director. John?
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, members of City Council. I am very happy to be here to remind you about our tree lighting. It is at Town Square Park at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and we would love to see you there. We have a tremendous program. We have 3 singing groups there for you. We have professional sound. It is going to be a terrific deal. We have Dumas Bay is showing up with cookies and hot chocolate and coffee for you, so it will be able to keep you warm. It's not supposed to be real cold. The weather's supposed to actually be pretty cooperative for us that day. Santa Claus is showing up this year with a little help from South King County Fire and Rescue on a vintage fire truck. It's going to be a very cool arrival. We are excited about this event. It is going to be great. The tree is decorated, it is lighted, and it looks fantastic. It is going to be a great event, and we would love to see you out there at 4 o'clock this Saturday.
That's great. And how tall is that tree?
That tree is about 21 feet on its own, and we've got it built up a little bit, so it's about 23 feet. It is really striking. It looks very, very nice out there, and when you see it lit up, it's going to make quite a statement.
And John, can you remind me, how much did we pay for the tree again?
We got that tree for $200.
That's amazing. Councilmember Duclos.
How far away can you see it?
John?
I see it in my dreams.
Nice setup. See the set,
I don't know what you're smoking, but
Wow. Did you guys rehearse that?
No, but we should get together.
We're a good team here.
Exactly. That's repartee. All right. Anybody else? All right. All right, thank you, John. That's going to be a lot of fun. So 4 o'clock, and we've got really got the word out. Good job on the yard signs and the the VMS boards that are up, so I think we're getting the word out.
It's going to be a great event. There'll be some other special surprises for you, but I can't let them all out of the bag. So
Exactly.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
So, and we've also got, if you want some of the details, if you missed some of the details, you can go online in the Mirror, and you can look on the hard copy as well.
And it's also on itallhappenshere.org, which is our website for the Federal Way Community Center and Parks and Recreation. So.
Very good. Okay. Now, let's talk about movie night the following week, Frozen at the Federal Way Community Center. That's Friday, December 12th, 7:30 p.m. What else you got?
That is correct. We are going to be showing the blockbuster hit Frozen, and we're showing the version that's a sing-along version, so it's subtitled so you can sing with the kids. The grandkids come in and have a great time. We'll also be serving popcorn that evening and hot chocolate in the gyms. So we'll be taking over the gyms with a 26-foot screen and a great sound system. It's going to be a lot of fun. Free admission to that. So you'll start to see a big blitz of media out in the community. Every time you visit the community center, we'll give you a ticket, free admission into that event. That promotional materials were just developed and up today, so you'll see all kinds of information up at the community center, on the websites. So looking forward to seeing you there. We want to pack the house. We expect 700 to 800 people, so show up a little bit early.
Wow.
We have arranged for a little bit extra parking here at City Hall. As always, when we do special events, the weather's always perfect, so it'll be a nice short walk up for you from the Federal Way Community Center or at the school district. They've been kind enough to allow us to park additional parking there on that evening. So movie starts at 7:30. I'd be in the building by 7:15, 7:20.
I wonder, well, let's talk about maybe some shuttle vans from here to there. I want to, maybe we can talk about that if people are going to be parking here to make sure, because it is a little bit uphill, especially if you've got little ones. Let's remember to talk about that.
Okay.
And because we can always send people down here, especially if we get those kind of numbers. Sorry to just spring that on you right now.
No problem.
We've got the costume contest that Councilmember Honda is going to be heading up, and I put her in charge of this, and she's going to be supervising that. Any comments about the costume contest?
I encourage my fellow council members to come in costume. And the mayor.
My Olaf costume is in the dry cleaner, so.
Oh, well, you have a week to get it.
All right,
Okay,
all right.
2 weeks.
Okay.
We'll have a special photographer there just for that occasion if you're all in costume.
Okay, well, anyways, that's great. And then we've got, and how big is the screen?
Screen is 26 feet, which will be a very, very big screen in that room. It'll feel about as huge as you can get in that room. So
wow.
It's a big screen and a great sound system. If you enjoyed any of the movies out in the park, you'll know that sound system is top notch and the viewing quality is terrific.
So it starts at 7:30.
7:30 sharp. Yep.
Okay, and that's a Friday. All right.
That is a Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
See you there.
All right. All right. Now let's talk about Chief. I wasn't going to put you on. We got two chiefs over there. We got the Chief of Staff, Brian Wilson. Can you give us an update on the Target property? And as many know, we purchased last week, or actually I think it's been 2 weeks now. On the 18th of November. We purchased what's referred to as the former Target site. It's 7.48 acres, just about 7.5 acres, and we now are the proud owner of that property immediately adjacent to the soon-to-be Performing Arts and Conference Center. Chief, what's our timeline, and what are we looking in regard to? What can the council and the community expect with regard to the Target property?
So in terms of our planning for the property, it has closed. Everything is finished and it is in the possession of the city. We have walked through the building itself and the surrounding property, so we know what we have with this particular piece. We estimate that in the first quarter of next year, we will move forward with an RFP or an RFQ pertaining to developer options for this significant piece of property that's in our downtown core.
Okay.
And we will have public engagement in that process as well.
Now, can you give, it dawns on me that there's a piece of information here regarding the condition of the former Target site, which is now currently vacant. How would you describe the interior condition of that site?
we were aware of damage that was present within the facility, specifically with the electrical system that had been damaged, and some theft that had occurred over a several year period of time. So the building itself is likely not restorable in terms of the cost that it would be to restore that to a usable use. But we're currently making further assessments and likely with the plans in terms of an RFP that building would come down.
Just to let the council and the community know, one of the things that when we took a tour of the property, we actually had to, because there were no lights in there, we had to go in with flashlights, and we had noticed that many of the ceiling tiles had been moved, and there were some ladders in there, and all the wire, most of the wire in the building had been pulled out because it's been vacant for several years. And several of those ladders and the boots and the materials that were used to accomplish these crimes were actually left behind. So what that meant was, we have a former police chief and a former prosecutor. What did? We called the police over and took fingerprints off all this stuff, and we're looking at that. So we're looking at that, and we're going to see what we can find out.
We'll let you know if we're successful with DNA testing of bottles that are present from people who are having a soda while they're stealing the water.
That's how we roll. All right. So fighting crime, taking property. All right. So anyway, exciting stuff. So we're looking at probably the end of January, beginning of sometime in February, in which we're going to get that process out. But we're going to need, obviously, not only a lot of input from the council as with the steps moving forward, but also from the community. So be watching for that, because this really has the potential to be a truly game-changing event in our downtown as we move forward on the PAC, which is scheduled to be finished toward the end of 2016. What we're hoping to do is kind of create this urban village concept in our downtown as well, in conjunction with our new Town Square Park, which is in production, and final design hopefully will be in early spring or spring of this coming year, and hopefully we'll get that online. The target to complete the Town Square Park, if everything goes according to plan, would be the summer of 2016. So things are really moving, and now those 4 acres, as we have said in the media, are really the town center. Well, we've got Town Square Park. Those 4 blocks constitute town center. So very exciting. As many of you know, we had a snow and ice event over the weekend, which prompted our professionals who are always on alert and on duty. And I just want to say, on behalf of the council and everybody, and management team staff and myself, we were so impressed. But Marwan, can you tell us a little bit about what was going on behind the scenes to get some of these preparations and deployment to occur?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council Member. I would like to give you a quick reminder, an update on how we handle winter weather events. The 3 type of event that we normally have during the winter is the snow and ice, windstorm, which mainly power outage, and urban flooding. With the snow and ice event, major event, normally we go through the process of putting everybody on 12-hour shift, which means that every maintenance worker that we have normally convert from 8-hour shift to 12-hour shift, and we have 2 shifts, one during the day and one at night. We have 26 employee maintenance worker, mainly in the street divisions, surface water division, and park department. Each one who work for the city in the maintenance crew get deployed and put on the 12-hour shift. The shift normally run from 11:30 a.m. to midnight, and from midnight to 12 noon. Priority for the city for roadway plowing is mainly we have a primary route, which mainly all of the designated arterial. We have approximately 147 lane mile of roadway for plowing. The secondary route, which means we normally finish the primary route before we go to the secondary route, mainly our collector and hillside. We have approximately 63 lane mile. And after we finish with those 2, we normally go to residential areas. This map depicts the areas, the primary route. As you can see, all of our arterials are in red. The secondary route are in blue. And then the rest of the city, all of the residential are not colored, and those are the route that we normally deploy to after we finish the first two. This map is actually on our website. Our citizen will be able to go and look at it for reminder if they want to know which street normally get a higher priority for plowing. We also have a map that our crew are familiar with, is hotspot for de-icing. Those are area normally are roadway who have quite a bit of shading that black ice get formed in those areas. So what we normally do is based on an event and based on the weather forecast, we normally hit those areas and make sure there's a de-icing applied to all of those areas. Communication. Most of our notification of service need are coming from citizen. They come to the Public Work Admin office, and when that's closed, normally we have 24-hour call-out service. We are in constant communication with the police department. The citizen normally give us call directly. Other staff within the city further away and other agency and utility company normally call us and request special service for an emergency need. Available equipment for the city, we have 3 10-yard truck that normally retrofitted with sander and plow. We have 2 5-yard truck that also retrofitted with sander and plow. And we have 1 1,000-gallon de-icer truck that have a plow in front of it. We have 14,000-gallon de-icing tank storage. We are able to store de-icing chemical up to 14,000 gallon. The type of material we use de-icer with the geomelt. This is, I have a date set right next to those. In 2014, we'll be using the geomelt, which is magnesium chloride. But in 2015, as part of the budget, the council appropriated $150,000 for us to convert to salt brine, calcium chloride, where we have the salt, we already use the salt as the mixture with the sand. We'll be able to use the salt to create a brine, and that will give us a better use and cheaper use for de-icing. The windstorm event, mainly a power outage and fallen trees, limbs, and so on and so forth within the roadway. In 2007, the council appropriated some fund, and some of that fund went to retrofit some of our signal, approximately half of our signal was battery backup. So whenever we have power outage, we have certain signal within the city on major arterials that will have the power to continue running during the power outage. The power is normally run for about 4 to 10 hours, depends on the size of that intersection. The battery backup program to go into a flash, the signal will go to flash at 50% of battery life. This way we are preserving some of the battery to continue operate as a stop sign and give chance for our staff to be able to replace those battery, because we have storage here at the city hall where we are charging battery for replacement. This is a map showing the signal with the backup power supply and the one without. The green one is showing the one with the backup power supply. We also have generator at different locations within the city. We have the community center, which normally used as shelter, has a 750 kilowatt generator. The city hall operated with generator during power outage. We have 15 kW generator at Steel Lake Maintenance Yard. Whenever we have an event, we have power for our maintenance crew to be able to operate out of there. We also have 35 kilowatt generator at the evidence building, and we have 2 portable generator that the city could use at any location that we need to move those generator and utilize them. For urban flooding, our response is we normally divide the city to 4 quadrant. And most of our flooding here at the city, since we don't have a major river run through the city and we live on the top of the hill, it's mainly associated with leaf blocking drainage. So we have approximately 7 pages of a list of hotspot. Those are area where the roadway is, you have a low point and you have a catch basin, but there's a lot of trees in that area, and during the fall you have a lot of leaf falling and blocking those catch basins. So those hotspot is definitely, our guys are aware of them, and we normally add to them every time we have a chance or somebody reports something where we know that it's an area we need to keep an eye on. And we also have on-call service for vectoring if there's a blockage in the pipe, or a manhole or a catch basin is full of material that causing the flooding, we are able to clear that. This is a map designating the 4 areas that normally used for both rain, flooding, and windstorm, where our crew deployed to those areas. So we have 4 different crew, mainly work within those areas. They know most of the spot where we have a challenge and they need to take care of it, so they normally go there and take care of those. That concludes my presentation. I'll be more than happy to answer any question that the council may have.
Council, any questions? Thank you, Marwan, for this, and obviously we're just getting started in the winter, and you know, hopefully we won't have too much necessity, but I want to tell you that the response with which your team responded, and even on their own, was pretty rapid. And
Thank
so
you.
We very much appreciate
Thank
the
you.
professionals.
Appreciate
Really send
it.
our thanks. All right. Okay, now we move on to citizen comment. We've got Joanne Paquette here. You're speaking on behalf of a group of more than 5 members in attendance, so you have a 5-minute comment period.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Mayor Farrell. My voice just went. It must have been the Husky game. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the Federal Way Coalition of the Performing Arts fundraising campaign for the Performing Arts and Conference Center. To date, we have pledges for $675,620. We have set a deadline of December 31st for most of the pledges to be paid. But with some of the larger ones, some donors are going to be paying half this month and half by January 15th for income tax purposes. We've already received quite a few of the pledges, payment for the pledges already. And our Shindig event was fabulous and a total sellout, and too bad there isn't a venue in Federal Way where we could have had room for more. We were at the limit with 260 seats at the Twin Lakes Golf and Country Club, and it was just fabulous, and I've gotten so many comments from people who were there, and some of them said, when are you going to do another one? And so, well, we're going to recover from that one first, but it was wonderful. We will soon be discussing another fundraising activity, and we'll keep you updated. And speaking of updating, we just today updated an informational piece about the PAC and have copies on the table back there. I'll get you some. So they're hot off the press, and just just had to change some things that are now happening, and so I'll be taking some to the chamber meeting tomorrow, and then we'll get them out to all the different upcoming events, concerts, and holiday activities that are coming up. And so we'll keep spreading the word. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joanne, for all your work. Betty, thank you so much for being here as well. And it's great. We just really appreciate all that work, and I know you've got a big team behind you, and we've got a team here working on it as well as the team we have up here on the dais. So exciting stuff. But you know what I forgot to do, you guys? We had 2 items on the emerging issues that I have not gotten to yet. So at this point, I wanted to bring up Tim Johnson to talk about the economic development strategy and the calendar, and then I've got one last thing. So, Mr. Johnson.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. Excuse me for a minute while I get this up. Knew this was going to happen. You have before you a a document, a memorandum from me as it relates to the timeline for presenting the economic development strategy. We start on January the 6th with a special council meeting at 6 o'clock. Hopefully I'll roll up my sleeves and keep it to 40 minutes, but I can't promise anything. Unlike my esteemed colleague from the Parks and Recreation Department, who's been dreaming about the tree lighting ceremony, I've been swimming in economic development strategy. On the 7th, we'll move on to the Planning Commission. On January 20th, we'll move back here to a regular council meeting for a public hearing. On January 27th, we'll go in front of FEDRAC, take further comments and direction there. On the 31st, I believe that is, at the time I wrote this memo, I hope that that is in fact the case for your day of your retreat. So we'll be working with you again there. And I suspect at that particular point in time, we'll be spending time listing further about branding issues as we've identified earlier moving forward. Then on February the 3rd, we'll be back here in front of you for a regular council meeting for council approval and subsequent adoption of what will be your first ever economic development strategy for the City of Federal Way. And then from there, it will be time for, I guess, rubber chicken luncheons as we present those across the region. And then hopefully on to what will be an economic development summit towards the end of the first quarter, beginning of second quarter. We'll be bringing in some of the top site location consultants from across the country to come in here and talk with you, get your insights, that you ask them questions about what we need to further do to enlighten and heighten the business environment of Federal Way. And as a part of the strategy, you will receive a work plan, a work program, so you'll know timelines, and I'll take it out over a 2-year period, so that will work in concert with our budget, so that we have a 2-year work plan, so that you can look at that in concert with the budgets and subsequent expectation of allotment of the budget in concert with our work program. With that, that concludes. I apologize for not getting this up on it. I knew this was going to happen. But in any case, we'll make sure that that doesn't occur the night of the economic development strategy presentation. With that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Council, any questions? All right, thank you for all your work so far. Appreciate it, Tim.
Thanks.
All right. All right, and then just the last thing to let you know is the City of Federal Way is getting some special recognition tomorrow at the King County Prosecutor's Office at the King County Courthouse in downtown Seattle. We've done, I'd like to thank our police chief and you know, our folks that work on a coalition of domestic violence, and we've had a lot of trainings and a lot of success in regard to confronting domestic violence, a serious issue in our community. And so myself and Councilmember Honda are going to go down to the King County Prosecutor's Office, where the King County Prosecutor is going to be, Dan Satterberg is going to be essentially, I wouldn't say honoring, but giving special recognition to the efforts that we're making there. So I appreciate that, and we'll be doing that first thing in the morning. So we've already had our citizen comment. Now let's move on to the consent agenda. So these items have already been through committee, and normally, unless an item is pulled by a council member, they are passed all together as one. So we've got items A through F. Item A are the minutes for the November 18th, 2014 special and regular meetings. Item B is the monthly financial report, October 2014. Item C are the vouchers. Item D, community center pool chemical vendor contract amendment. Item E, authorize finance director to certify tax levy to the county. And item F, resolution 2015 fee schedule. Deputy Mayor Burbidge, do you have a motion? Before I do that, would a council member like to pull any particular item? All right, Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Okay. I move approval of items A through F on the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, the items A through F have been moved for approval and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, they pass. Thank you very much. Council business, the first item. Item A, the 2015 legislative agenda. We've got Chris Carroll, our Communications Coordinator and Government Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and council members. I have a brief presentation on the proposed 2015 state legislative agenda. This is our annual policy document that provides direction on our state legislative efforts. It also articulates our positions on priority legislative issues. We have 11 priority items in the document before you. They span economic development, transportation, public safety, and fiscal health. It seems like annually we say this is going to be a tough legislative session, but 2015 is really going to be a tough legislative session. The Washington State Legislature last year, by one firm, was ranked as the fourth most divisive legislature in the state, and that may have gotten worse over recent months. It is a 105-day session coming up, beginning January 12th. Most observers consider that it's likely that we'll need one or more special sessions for the legislature to complete their work. And as you probably are well aware, the session is likely to be dominated by the needs to provide education funding per the state Supreme Court mandate. So diving into the issues in the agenda before you, in the area of economic development, we are proposing to work towards funding support for construction of the Performing Arts and Conference Center in the amount of $4 million would be the amount requested. We're also working to get initial support for the early stages of our college initiative to bring a branch campus to Federal Way's downtown. And then also addressing an issue that the city has had some challenges with recently that I think council is well familiar with and our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee is familiar with. Federal Way hoteliers are interested in creating a tourism promotion area which would allow hoteliers to charge themselves essentially a user fee, which would then be used to support promotion and marketing for local tourism, thus strengthening the local tourism economy. Unfortunately, we've found out that in King County, cities are not allowed to form these on their own and must get at least one other city to work with them. What we're proposing to do is work on legislation that would address that so that Federal Way hoteliers can form their own single jurisdiction tourism promotion area. Finally, in the area of economic development, we're proposing to address the issue of regional equity and affordable housing, an issue that has been of some discussion in the community and in the council. As council's aware, current state tax incentives have the unfortunate consequence of concentrating some types of affordable housing, multifamily projects in some communities like Federal Way, at the exclusion of other communities where there are also needs. This is a complicated issue and is going to require a good deal of work to develop solutions and also develop coalitions to coalesce around solutions. So what we are proposing is to work towards establishing a legislative working group that could bring together stakeholders to craft a regional solution. In the area of fiscal health, I'd like to say I have something new for you, but we're still working on 3 items that are very familiar. First is back in the 2012 session, the legislature reduced local liquor revenue sharing to cities. We're proposing to continue our work to restore those cuts. They've been restored somewhat in the past session. We're wanting to work on restoring those to historic levels. And then, as this will be a session in which budgets are crafted and revenues are discussed, continue to defend the existing state shared revenues that cities have against further cuts. And then the final piece in fiscal health is to work towards, and there are a lot of cities interested in this, work towards creating a financing mechanism that would direct some portions of marijuana, legalized marijuana revenues to the local governments where we commonly deal with the public safety impacts of marijuana use. In the area of transportation, we have three items. The first two are very familiar to the council, and we're of course honoring Senator Eide for her outstanding work on the first phase of the Triangle project. We are proposing to work with legislators to get funding for the second phase, the final phase, which is roughly $114 million. A key piece of that will be the legislature enacting a state revenue package. And similar to our position last year, we are proposing to support the enactment of a transportation revenue package to address our lagging transportation infrastructure and make sure that if there is a package that includes the Triangle and other specific projects of interest to the city of Federal Way. And then finally, the issue of providing ballot authority for Sound Transit to bring an ST3 ballot before the voters will be heard in the legislature this year. Sound Transit needs to have a ballot measure before the voters to get additional funding in order to be able to build the light rail link south past South 240th Street. And we're proposing that the city support that request to the legislature to provide authority for them to bring the measure to the public. And then the final issue in the area of public safety, our police department is a regional and statewide leader in a lot of areas in public safety, hence the chief's presentation on the CALIA Gold Standard. One of the programs that the police department has implemented with council support is the Nick and Derek project to combat DUIs and distracted driving. And we are proposing to work with legislators to find some funding to match the funds that the city is contemplating committing in 2015 and 2016 and increase our ability to combat DUIs and distracted driving. So the policy question before the council tonight is whether to approve the proposed agenda as it currently is, or to offer changes to that. And the mayor recommends approving the 2015 legislative agenda that you have before you. And before I conclude, I just want to note that we have scheduled our annual legislative agenda breakfast in which the mayor and council meet with our 30th district legislators to talk about the issues. And that has been scheduled for Thursday, January 8th at the Federal Way Community Center, beginning at 7:30 in the morning. There will be a continental breakfast provided. We've had great turnout for these in the past, and we want the public to know they're invited and welcome. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
And Chris, is that reception in that room right off where our little Splash Cafe is? Or is it in one of the community rooms down the hall?
Yes, Mayor. We're looking at one of the community rooms.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you very much. This looks like a great agenda to take down to Olympia. I would like to see the city add the asking for funding for the hygiene center. And the reason I ask for that is I've met with the folks talking about the hygiene center, and they have, excuse me, in order to get going with it, they're going to need some kind of funding, and they know that they're going to need some funding from the city of Federal Way and the state. If we could put this on our legislative agenda and support it, it has a greater chance of getting funding from the state. I believe that a hygiene center is needed very much in this community, especially when we look at days like today when it's so cold outside. There, the overnight shelters are only run for so many months, and then they have to leave very early in the morning and can't come back till late at night. And so a lot of these folks end up at the mall where they're kicked out, or they go to the libraries, or they go to different stores around the area. I think would be very beneficial to our community if we could perhaps reduce the ask of the $4 million for the PAC to $2 million and $2 million for the hygiene center. I'd also like the Derek and Nick and Derek project, if we could get that to go statewide. It's a great project. If we could get statewide support and get it into every community in the state, that would be pretty amazing.
Thank you, Councilmember Honda. Council can certainly amend the agenda any way they would like to, and certainly there's been a lot of conversation and interest in the hygiene shelter, so I await Council's direction on that.
And I would say that, we are sensitive to the $4 million ask. I mean, we don't want to, I think it is very important to make sure that whatever we ask for, it doesn't seem like it's too much of an ask. And I think that, perhaps the language should be up to $4 million. I know that when the speaker came to Federal Way earlier this past summer, I had a personal conversation with him in which I was talking to him about the necessity for some sort of funding. We will have a new representative that will be advocating for us down there, and so we may have an opportunity. So maybe we can have some wiggle room language. Certainly what we don't want to do is, for us, it's a matter of, if the ask is too much and unrealistic, sometimes it actually hurts the overall ask, and so we've got to be careful about that. Councilmember Duclos and then Councilmember Maloney.
In terms of the hygiene center, it is something that's very needed, but I would like us to see if we can't work with the other cities around here, because if we open one, it depends upon where it is, but I know people will be coming from other cities. And I think that's something we should be talking to Kent and Auburn about, and placing one that might be somewhere in the center of that, so people from different cities could use that, and we could keep it open year-round. I think it needs, I support the idea, but I don't think we're ready to take it down to the legislature right now. I think we need to do some more work on it, see if we can get some support from the other two cities, and then see if we can move it on from there.
And I went to that. I agree that we need something in the community as well, and that has him. In fact, one of the people from the regional library came and spoke at that last meeting where Sound Alliance got together on Veterans Day. And in the presence of our deputy mayor and our state representative Linda Kochmar and our senator-elect, I pledged, on behalf of the city that as a partnership. But I think we're still working on what that looks like. So, and I think it does depend on there was a council member from the city of Kent that was there, and so I think it's developing. But I think that we certainly want to be clear what we'd be asking money for. But that's obviously what we're going to have this discussion here for tonight. Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you. Yeah, on that note, I mean, I also very much support having a hygiene center, maybe on the border of Des Moines and Kent, somewhere like that. So it's we can create that partnership if that's possible, and serve the people from that community who need it. You make a good point about, or Deanie did, about waiting until we have those partnerships in place. But I'm wondering if it's possible to, because this is kind of an urgent need, especially considering the season that we're in right now. Not that anything could be done overnight, but the sooner the better. So I'm wondering if it's possible if we could have that as a legislative 2.0 type of thing, agenda 2.0. So that we leave tonight and maybe staff starts reaching out to those other cities right away. You've said that there's already some traction there, and if things come together sooner than later, we could add it, possibly, something like that, before we move forward with the actual agenda. It's just a suggestion, because I think it's very much needed. I also like the idea of kind of retrofitting that language for the ask for the PAC and saying up to 4 million, so that we don't scare them away.
Right.
So, I support that as well.
Yeah, and I think that we've really got to feel out the legislative process, because 4 million may be too much. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a delicate dance or ask as we go through there. I'm going to call on Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Moore, then Sepa Dawson, then our Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and certainly I want to take the time to say thank you to you and the mayor for putting this proposal together. I know it's in a very aggressive agenda, and I know that we have the very best lobbyists down in Olympia, having worked in Olympia, and it certainly is going to be a very unique session, and it's going to have to take very careful, strategic type of moves that are can-do type moves, not something that is going to be impossible. And a lot of this, we're going to have to count on bipartisan type leadership in addition. I will go ahead and echo Councilmember Honda and Councilmember Kelly Maloney in terms of that. I do support and would like to see this in our legislative agenda, but I think Councilmember Maloney is correct that I think there is time for us to reach out and work and start actually getting some answers and start collaborating so that we can start putting a package together and get it ready before session starts. And I think, just from my own experience, I think there's still time to do that. But that's not to say that certainly we can use regional leadership on this, because if one city starts to put a center like this, then everything's going to shift to one city, and we want to have shared common values amongst various cities and addressing the homelessness issue. And I know that this will be this topic is extremely important to the senator-elect, and I know that we will have great leadership in Olympia to address this. Thank you.
What about something along the lines of, let me just throw out an idea, and let's percolate and see if there's a motion that comes of it, but what about some sort of language in the agenda that says, look for opportunities to partner with regional, the South Puget Sound, regional players, entities, community, cities, for this type of funding, moving forward. Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and then Sepa Dawson, and then Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I would very much support that kind of language. It makes a great deal of sense. I have reached out personally to folks from the Multi-Service Center, and I have attended a number of the meetings of the Sound Alliance and the group specifically working on the hygiene program. And I've had conversations with other leaders in the community. And while there definitely is recognition of the needs of the homeless, there is interest in a shared responsibility throughout the region for this kind of effort. And I've done research too into that kind of facility, the kind of facility we're discussing that would provide laundry services, would provide showers, would provide a place for people to be as needed during the day. There are such facilities, 2 of them specifically in Seattle and a third one planned, and there's another one in Tacoma. It's my understanding that, as far as I know, the only South King County city that has a daytime hygiene center of any kind is a small one in Kent for women, and I have not been able to locate any others. And I think this is very important work that we need to take on as a region. And I also would like to comment that I think this is a demonstration of how all of the issues in a city are interrelated. We talk about the funding for the PAC, and I think we need to sometimes remind ourselves that while we see the PAC as something that will improve our quality of life and provide a great benefit for the day-to-day enjoyment and use for meetings and events in our city, it's also designed to enhance economic development along with the other work that we're doing in our downtown. And that economic development, we're hoping and counting on raising us from 9th from the bottom of the 38 or 39, depending on which tiny cities you count, as being fully in King County in terms of revenue per person. And I think that's a significant measure to keep in mind. We're working hard. Our strategic economic development plan is an important part of that. And if we succeed in managing that economic development well, we will have more resources to provide for the needs of folks throughout our community.
All right, thank you. Councilmember SEPA Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to add to what has already been said, but one thing I really want to encourage us to focus on and make sure we don't lose sight of is as we form these partnerships to have a center, hygiene center. I want to make sure that it's on the bus line because public transportation is very crucial for the people who are going to utilize it. So I really don't want us to lose sight of that being very important and a driving force for where this center could or should be located.
It's an excellent point, Councilmember SEPA Dawson. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I appreciate the discussion about the hygiene center, but I would like to see it on the agenda for the reason that this is a budget year for the state legislature. And this isn't something that we can put off for 2 years and come back during their next budget session. I'm concerned that if we try to work with other cities, that we're not meeting the needs of our own citizens here in Federal Way. You know, we're not talking about hundreds of people. You know, we're talking about 20 to less than 100 people that they're anticipating serving. And there is a wonderful hygiene center, if that's what you want to call it, in Tacoma, but I don't know that people can move between cities, between Tacoma and Seattle. Bus fare is fairly expensive, and they're not going to be, you know, hijacking out there to get to a hygiene center. I really think that this is a priority for our city, and if we can get it on this legislative agenda and start talking about it, you know, the folks have plans. You know, their plans are, they've got a very well-written plan, and I would invite everyone to sit down and talk to them. They would like to talk to every council member, and I know several of us have already talked to them, but I think the time is now. I think we need to get it on there.
And how much would you suggest that we ask the legislature for, and what for?
I would suggest $2 million, and that would be to buy a building here in Federal Way.
You want to ask the legislature for $2 million to buy a building? And are
For
we
a
going
hygiene
to,
center.
And
Well,
would the city staff run the hygiene center?
no. They are hoping that the Catholic services would be the support. I'm not anticipating that the state legislature would give $2 million. You know, it's just an amount.
Then why ask for it? I
Well,
mean,
you can always
we hire,
dream.
we actually hire 2 legislators at $60,000 for the year to go down to Olympia to ask for serious requests that we've thought out. My problem is, we haven't really thought this through.
They have a building up on Pack Highway that's $2 million that they're looking at.
So you just want to ask the legislature for $2 million without venturing out to any partners or without like researching the issue?
Okay, then let's research the issue, but let's not put it off. Let's get it so that it's talked about in Olympia during this legislative year.
Okay.
So let's do it now. Let's not put it off for 6 months.
May I suggest
Yeah,
something?
Councilmember Duclos.
We could ask the legislature for some seed money to investigate a regional hygiene center, because I think a regional one would go very well, not just one for Federal Way. And I think that's something that we might be able to get $50,000 or $100,000 to explore and then take back there and have some really solid concrete stuff that we could present to them and have some really firm cost as to what it would cost, not only to build it, but then how do we operate it? The operating
Right.
funds and the staff that are going to be there. There's a lot of work that needs to be looked at. I support a hygiene center.
As do I.
I really do. And I think we all do, but I think we're jumping the gun a little bit. I think we need to put something in place first to take down. We can plant the seeds with the legislatures that will be coming back, and we might ask them to hold some money for us, or even give us the money to start doing this research. That way, if we can get 100,000 or 250,000 from them, then they're committed to the project too, and they'll want to have updates from us, especially if we can get a couple of really strong sponsors down there.
As long as we start getting the work done so that we can get this.
And I'm all supportive of starting working on it now. I really am.
Deputy Mayor Burbidge?
I am also eager to get started. In fact, I have mentioned this to the mayor, that I would like to see a study session plan for the council. I would maybe modify Councilmember Duclos' suggestion just a bit, maybe some seed money for, to develop a plan for hygiene centers throughout the region. So to indicate from the beginning that this is a regional responsibility. And that's it for now. Oh, no, I did want to comment one other thing. When I mentioned hygiene centers existing in Seattle and Tacoma, I did not intend to suggest at all that people should travel to those. I very much see the need for hygiene centers within a much closer range for people to access. Thank you.
Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this discussion's been really, really helpful, and I appreciate Councilmember Honda bringing this up and suggesting it for a legislative agenda issue. And I do support the proposal, as Councilmembers Dini and Burbidge mentioned, kind of like the, actually not necessarily the seed money for the, how did Dini say it? For the research, but the seed money maybe for a plan. And I do think that that's a really healthy approach. It gets us there more strategically, and it gets us on the map with the legislature.
Yeah, I do think that, as many know, I mean, the dollars are going to be very. Councilmember Moore.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. I do want to reiterate that, and I think we all here on the dais know that homelessness is a major problem, and it's becoming an epidemic, of course, all across the United States. I do believe that. Let me rephrase that. I would like to also see this on the agenda this year. And I think Councilmember Honda said something that was really important. It's a budget year. I think that's really important. And waiting is not going to solve anything. And so I think we definitely need to bring the conversation forward. We need to continue driving it forward. And I think we ought to go to the legislature, put this on there, because I think we're going to have very strong advocates in the legislature advocating for this. And I know that, with the mayor's direction, I'm hoping to go to Olympia and be a part of that process.
So that would be good to have. The reason why, I was asking about the details about, I think that when we go down there, we have to be laser beam focused if we're going to ask for you. And that was my question is, I think there are a lot of questions that sort of spill out into this issue. And so I think when we go down there, because they're going to be, a lot of people are asking for money, but the state Supreme Court is dictating, as we all know, that the legislature would be found in contempt if they don't formulate this plan. Then you have the class size of initiative, which is going to further address this issue. So we are going to ask for a certain amount of money for the Performing Arts and Conference Center. So if we come down there for an ask in regard to this issue, we need to know what our plan is, because we may be sitting at a conference room table with legislators and making this ask, and we want to make sure that we've thought of these questions before legislators start popping off these questions, especially in appropriations. So
I'd like to see the legislature know that we are as concerned about our homeless as we are about our PAC. And I think if we get this on the legislative agenda, it'll show that.
Okay.
If I may?
Yeah, Councilmember
Having
Duclos.
been down lobbying the legislature for many years while as the CEO of the Multi-Service Center, I know how things work. And a lot of time, and I think it would be good to take this issue down and present it. and with a modified ask, not for the whole thing. So, because sometimes they want to see the progress that you make on it. They don't want to put money, if they give money, they want that money spent right away, or they can recapture it. And they want to see that something's going to work. That's why I say there's an awful lot of questions here. There's work we need to do. What we probably could go down is ask for some seed money to look at this and to see if we could set up a regional, and if that gives us time to work with the other cities, maybe they'd want to come in on this too, and it makes it a stronger approach. I really know how to put things together for the legislature, and unfortunately, we don't have Tracey Eide down there this year either, because she was super at getting things through committees. So.
Well, I do want to say that, over the course of why the PAC is a $32 million facility. We have $800,000 that comes through the city that goes to the less fortunate, through real needs in our community through our Human Services Commission and then through the council, which we distributed, and we continue to do so. And over years, it'll far exceed the $30 million PAC. So I think that our community and our council is very committed to the needy, and so. But I agree that we want to be obviously sensitive and serving those populations as well. So I think what we'll do. One of the things I'm going to ask our Chief of Staff and Jeff Watson, our Human Services. Jeff, you knew this was coming, I'm sure, but I'll ask our Chief of Staff and Jeff Watson to run down some of these local examples or regional examples of hygiene centers and look at what models are and have Mr. Watson reach out to area partners, not only human services providers, not only in this area but in the South Sound region, and talk about these partnerships, be it the city of Auburn, Kent, Renton, Tukwila, our regional partners, and look for ways that we can talk about, because Federal Way can't be the only the only city that addresses this issue.
Mr. Mayor, I would mention that I have had a conversation with Jeff Watson on this issue already, and those initiatives to make contact with our colleague cities on this issue is in place and taking place.
Yeah, and you and I have discussed this on several occasions, and actually just even earlier today, the Deputy Mayor and I were talking about this. So the question is, Councilmember Moore.
Oh, I just wanted to add a little side note that I'd like to encourage us to continue the conversation under the Human Services Committee and encourage the chair of that committee to continue this conversation in her committee.
I do think one of the things I informed Sound Alliance is that they need to definitely be at the table for future discussions in regard to human services funding, and that they had not been at those discussions. And so, this goes to the very core of human services. And so I think I've advised them, I think we need to advise them, and they need to get to the table in which when we have our budget that that we're in the process of final approval, that the next budget cycle, they need, if they want assistance from the city in which these pass-through funds are addressed, they need to get addressed. They need to get in that process. So, did anybody else have an issue? Is there a motion with regard to Councilmember Selski? Did you?
Yes, I wanted to address a different item on the agenda here.
Very well.
Not related to that, what we've been talking about.
Please.
With regard to economic and community development, the tourism promotion area, it seems to me that this one should be pretty low-hanging fruit, Chris, because I don't see any budget implication here at all. Has this been attempted before, any TPA effort by any of the cities or communities in the county?
To change the legislation? Right. Not that we were able to find. To my understanding, this would be the first time somebody's brought this up in the legislature.
Okay.
It is a relatively simple, almost tweak to the law that would be needed. Oftentimes, in a difficult, tough session, it can be hard to get the attention and interest of legislators. But I do agree with you that this should be low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Well, like the other issue we've been just talking about, would it be possible that other cities in the county are also looking to bring this forward as well, do you know, or are we kind of doing this on our own?
At this point, we have not outreach to other cities, but that is certainly a part of, that would be a part of our legislative efforts. Finding other King County cities that share this concern, that would favor this legislative change, would certainly strengthen our ability to get the law changed.
Sure, maybe our lobbyists can spearhead that effort or whatever, now that we're bringing it up. But, so, my understanding here is that 63% of our hotels so far have supported this idea of a TPA.
I believe it's hotels representing 63% of the total beds
room space.
available.
Okay. So,
That's right.
okay, 63% of the space. Okay, so if the legislature were to enact this, then everybody in all the hotels in the TPA would then have to subscribe to it. You couldn't.
All hotels of a certain size, certain number of rooms, yes, the larger hotels. And we do find significant support among the hoteliers of the larger hotels. We were surprised to learn that we would be required to partner with another city. And so far, Federal Way has more hotels, frankly, than certainly most of the other cities in South King County, except for SeaTac. And Tukwila has significant hotels, but they had already, prior to the tourism promotion area legislation, they had already formed an alliance with our three other cities, forming Seattle Southside. And so they already had that organization, and that works just fine for them. And the other cities, which do not have the significant hotels that Federal Way has, are frankly so far not interested in partnering. So it leaves us without an avenue to take this. And the hotels are eager to get it going.
Yeah, it's going to add to our tourism dollars as well. So
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Duclos.
I just have a question because I'll be going to the PIC meeting in a week, and I was wondering if you'd like me to bring this issue up there
Yes,
to see
please.
if the other cities would support.
Council? Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, any other, before we seek a motion to amend in regard to the issue we were talking about the hygiene centers, or center, any other items to discuss? Councilmember Moore.
Yeah, just a question towards Chris, and that's, I mean, looking at this agenda, how do our lobbyists feel about this? I mean, are we feeling like we can accomplish all this stuff, or are they feeling optimistic? I mean, with the nature of the legislature, with their profession and their work, what's their take on this legislative agenda?
Well, that's an excellent question, Councilmember Moore. Certainly some issues are easier to, not easier, less complex to address than others. I think Councilmember Selsky's mention of the TPA is a relatively easy issue as opposed to financing mechanism for marijuana revenues, for instance. However, our lobbyists have had good input into this process. They feel that each of these are potentially achievable, and we are working on a strategy to implement these items. I will say I think we are getting the city is getting its money's worth out of our lobbying team, certainly.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, all right, so I think we've got our, let's first thing first, in regard to, we had that discussion about, instead, I think the agenda right now says a flat 4 million. Would there be a motion to address that issue to give, obviously some flexibility in regard to, up to 4 million, but, somewhere in that range? Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. I'd like to move that we amend the legislative agenda to reflect the language of up to 4 million for the PAC.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Now in regard to the hygiene centers, and I know we had that discussion. Obviously, Councilmember Honda started this issue, and we were talking about, there were a number of things kind of discussed. Councilmember Honda, do you have a motion with respect to adding the hygiene centers, and what would that look like in regard to its addition?
I believe it would amend the agenda to start the discussion and planning on a hygiene center in the South King County area.
And looking for seed?
Looking for seed money.
Okay.
For a plan.
For a plan.
For a plan.
Didn't I say plan? Oh, I don't know. No, okay.
All right. And is there any discussion? No, so is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded that we, let me see if I can encapsulate this, that we explore options for a hygiene center in South King County and pursue possible seed money for a plan to pursue this. Councilmember, is that good?
Sounds good.
Okay, Councilmember.
Do we need to say how much? Give an amount? No, we're just gonna leave it.
I think that we
Okay.
need, what we're gonna do, well, let me just a point of information here for everybody. We're going to, Mr. Watson, Jeff Watson, is going to be tracking down this information that we've talked about in regard to different models, outreach with different regional partners, being them governmental entities or human services providers. And so what we'll do, this is our last meeting of the year, and so then I think we've got a meeting, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but when's our first city council meeting? The 6th of January?
I believe that's correct.
And our legislative breakfast is what date?
The 8th.
So 2 days later. So we will have only a few days before, but we'll have to communicate, we'll have to get this information out to you over the next several weeks. But we will definitely keep the council informed as we move forward. We'll obviously be working in a manner that does not violate the Open Public Meeting Act in regard to discussions among council. So, that being said, there was a motion. Was there a second? Oh, it was seconded. Any further discussion on that point? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The record should reflect it passed unanimously. Good work, Councilmember Honda. All right, and let's see here.
Well, we need
Now,
to-
I think now we were on to the main, that's been amended. Now, is there a motion with respect to the entire legislation?
Yes.
Councilmember Duclos?
I move approval of the City of Federal Way's 2015 legislative agenda as amended.
What she said.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we move forward. Good work. All right, now, let's move to, need my agenda. Now we move to, item B, term limits, which was amended on the agenda this evening. Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you, and I appreciate everyone being willing to have this discussion with me about an issue I feel very strongly about. I think that introducing term limits for council members and the mayor is something that is respectful to our citizens. But I have to say, this is not reflective of the time that anyone has spent up on this dais to date, because as a new city, I feel as if as the city was developing, we needed people to be up here for maybe longer than I might have initially, or might have otherwise thought would be necessary, because there's something to be said for consistency, especially during a development phase. And so this is not reflective of any of that. I respect everyone who's ever sat up here and worked really incredibly hard for the city to get us where we are now. That said, I do think that, at least from my perspective, term limits is something that is, again, as I've already said, I guess, something that communicates to the residents that we're willing to step up and contribute, but then we know that there's a time when we need to step down, at least in a specific role. And so my proposal is, and as a discussion point only tonight, is I would like to suggest that we limit council and mayor positions to a total of 3 terms of 4 years each. But if there would be caveats to that, including appointments. So the 3 terms would be on top of maybe an appointment. The terms would not have to be consecutive. And for the people who are currently elected in their terms right now, this would start after this term is over. And as opposed to the way Tacoma does it, which they have 10 years total that they can be either on council or as a mayor, and they cannot, if they're on council and they fill out those terms, they cannot run for mayor. I would suggest that if you fill your terms up as council here, you can still run for mayor for the 3 terms. So I'm not trying to necessarily limit anyone in a major way, but I think that it's healthy for a community to have some sort of change over time. So that's kind of where I am on it. Those are my discussion points.
Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Duclos.
And I think it's something that can be discussed, but I don't think it should be discussed here at the council meeting tonight because none of us have really had an opportunity to talk about it. I'd like to defer the discussion either to a council committee or at the council retreat to talk about it, because term limits are in effect. They're called elections. But if the council and if we get people that want to, that are strong in wanting to change things, I think we should look at it. But I don't think we should do it tonight. I think perhaps at the retreat it would be good. We could spend some time on that and discussing what steps we might want to take to go out to the community.
So is that in the form of a motion?
If you'd like it in the form of a motion, I'd so move.
Okay. And the motion would be to?
To defer the discussion to the council retreat.
Okay.
On term limits.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to move this to which actually kind of starts the discussion where we have a council retreat on January 31st. Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
I would like to suggest considering amending the amendment to include what Councilmember Duclos first suggested, that it either be at a committee, council committee such as FEDRAC, or the council retreat, since we haven't established the agenda for the retreat yet.
Right.
If some other issues supersede this, they might or might not. I have no idea.
I'm flexible to leave it to either or.
That would be my suggestion, and if that could be considered a friendly amendment. Since
I would accept that.
Suggested it. Thank you.
All right. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
All right.
I have no objections to tabling this for discussion later, but I would like to see us commit to a date, and I think the retreat is a perfect opportunity to have the discussion. The public will be there, and hopefully, at least, and it gives us the opportunity to really kind of delve into it. And so I would like to go back to the original proposal, which would be to have it at the discussion at the retreat.
All right, is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, now there's been a motion and a second to amend the main motion to just refer this to the council retreat on January 31st. Is there any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
What,
Okay.
This is about whether we would just.
Could we repeat what we're voting on?
Right, what we're voting on right now is the motion to amend the motion, just that it would be referred to a date certain of the council retreat on January 31st.
Could I
Yes.
add to that comment? It's my understanding that this amendment would limit the opportunity to have that discussion to only the retreat. Is that accurate?
Yeah, as a practical matter, I'm not even sure what committee it would go to, or whether it would, and whether how many committee meetings we have between now and January 31st. I mean, that may be, frankly, the soonest we could actually.
Well, FEDRAC is,
logically.
as far as I know, FEDRAC is meeting.
Okay.
In December?
I think so. No?
It's December 23rd.
No, we're not. So there's the first
Amy
committee
Jo,
would be
when's the next
January.
FEDRAC meeting?
It would be at the fourth Tuesday in January.
January.
So very close to the date of the retreat.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian.
I was going to say, with the council retreat scheduled on January 31st, any committee meetings scheduled in January might be an opportunity for an agenda item to discuss this issue.
However, committee meetings don't include the whole council, and some of us aren't able to go to all of the committee meetings because of different, conflicts if we aren't on the assigned committee. So I think this is a full council discussion.
If I may, I really think that the retreat would allow us to have time to really discuss it, and maybe allow some people to do some research on some different things about it.
Do you consider that a friendly amendment to your? Well, actually, I guess it's not, isn't it?
It's not.
No, it's not.
We're just
because-
waiting.
It's a discussion of the
Most
second
people have
amendment.
voted, we just need a roll call on that vote that was taken with regard to the amendment.
The amendment was to just make this a date certain that we will add this to the agenda or put it on the agenda for the council retreat on January 31st. That is, and let's do a roll call on whether this will be the date in which we discuss this issue. Please conduct the roll call.
Deputy Mayor Burbidge?
Nay.
Councilmember Asefa Dawson?
Yay.
Councilmember Maloney?
Aye.
Councilmember Honda?
Aye.
Councilmember Selsky?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Duclos?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1.
All right, great. All right, thank you.
So now the motion's been amended and you need to vote on the main motion, which is
Right.
that it will be on January 31st.
All right. All those in favor of discussing this at our January 31st council retreat, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's official. Thank you very much. All right, item 7, ordinances. First reading and enactment, Council Bill number 663, Planned Action SEPA, Central City. Staff presentation by Tim Johnson, our Economic Development Director.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, Tim Johnson. Before you tonight is a recommendation for the approval of an extension of 9 months for the existing City Center Planned Action SEPA to September 30th, 2015 by adoption of an ordinance to complete a new analysis that will extend such action from 2015 through 2025. As a way of background on this, City Council in 2004 initiated a Central City Center, I should say, Planned Action State Environmental Policy Act, SEPA, and through that it enabled us to have an EIS completed in the Central City area, which then reduced the amount of work that an individual project would have to come to the table with for a full-blown EIS. Several companies have taken advantage of it over the years, but I think as we now look at a focused economic development strategy specifically for our Central City area, you'll see a whole lot more activity. I'm pleased to announce that there are a variety of projects coming to the forefront. You might see a couple going on right now with Harsh Investments on 320th on their project there. They have another one going on in their Celebration Park that will come to the forefront. We have our own projects that we're working on and coming forward. Lord knows what we will have yet with the Commons and all the positive work that they're doing there. Their announcements to us at the staff level of bringing in 2 new minor anchors to the project are very enlightening and very hopeful for us moving forward. So I think we have so much more excitement going on, and you have something coming forward that I think the action of taking place, I can read the staff report to you what it really does, but I'm going to forego that activity. I think this is what you would call one of the finest actions that a city council could take in order to help expedite economic development and job creation in its downtown area. I'll conclude by that, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to take any.
All right, council, any questions? Councilmember Selsky, do you have a motion?
Yes, I move to suspend City Council Rule 2.28 to allow first reading and enactment of the ordinance in one meeting.
Second.
All right, and City Clerk, would you please read the ordinance title?
We need to vote on that.
Oh, okay. All right, is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Now, City Clerk to read the ordinance title, please.
All right. Council Bill 663, Planned Action SEPA Central City, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, relating to the City Center Planned Action established pursuant to RCW 43.21C.440 and amending Federal Way Revised Code 14.15.130.
All right. Councilmember Selski, do you have another motion?
Yes, I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the matter passes. Item B, Council Bill 664, 2014 Budget Amendment. This was added by Deputy Mayor Burbidge. Staff presentation, Mr. Arewula, our Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. This is just an house cleaning for the 2014 based on the decision of the council at the last council meeting to reflect some of the changes that we made, or the purchase of a target property, since the purchase was never part of the 2014 budget. So the current proposed ordinance, the proposed ordinance changes include the following: the target property, which is 8.2 million, which again, we purchased that and we've borrowed money to pay for it. We will be making interest payments starting from next year. But the purchase needs to be reflected in the 2014 budget. The transportation CPI project grant, which the council actually authorized in 2013, and we didn't start doing the project until 2014, and we didn't start collecting the grant money. So that is what that the 363,000 is about. And the self-insurance claim, this is our first year of self-insurance, and of course, I will go through the schedule. The revenue is there. The revenue that we're collecting in 2014 is there, but the estimate that was used, that we used to budget for the claim and the prescription claim was way less than what we are experiencing, but the revenue totally outweigh the expenditures that we're spending, and I'll show that in just a moment. This is the changes to the first change that I just pointed out, and now we are adjusting the. This is reflecting both the revenue, and which is the loan that we got to purchase the property. So reflecting both the revenue and the loan and the payment for the property. The second one, which is the street that I just mentioned, the CIP, and the third one, the health insurance, this is what we projected for the revenue, 4.5, and we projected to spend only 2.56 of that. So the extra 600,000 will be within the revenue. So we're good. There will still be a very good, sizable ending fund balance out of the health insurance fund. And actually, the health insurance fund, if you compare what we did, what we were paying the insurance company in 2013 until now that we're self-insured, we're sitting very good. In 2013, we made money for some executive somewhere, but the money is sitting in the city's account this time around because we're not spending all of it, so we're still sitting really good. So before the change, this is what the current, before this amendment, this is what the 2014 budget looks like. This is the amendment that I just proposed, so this will be the end, the final result of what the total budget will look like. I'll be glad to answer any question that.
All right, Council, are there any questions? All right. Councilmember Duclos, is there a motion?
Yes, I move to suspend City Council Rule 2.2, parens 8th, to allow first reading and enactment of the ordinance in one meeting.
I'll
All right.
second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules for immediate enactment. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
All right.
I'll
Is there a
second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Is there?
Can we have the clerk read the title into the record, please?
Thank you.
Council Bill 664, 2014 Budget Amendment, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to budgets and finance to revise the 2013-2014 biennial budget.
All right. That being done, is there any discussion regarding this, just to amend the budget to reflect what we're doing with the target property? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Matter passes. All right. So let's see here. Now, moving on. Second reading enactment, Council Bill 660, the 2015-2016 biennial budget. City Clerk to read the ordinance title, please.
Council Bill 660, 2015-2016 biennial budget, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to budgets and finance adopting the 2015-2016 biennial budget.
All right. Councilmember Duclos.
I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
I'll second.
All right. And is there any, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? This is final approval of our city council budget that we've all worked so hard on, including Mr. Iriwalu, who we affectionately refer to as the professor. Thank you so much for all your work, Professor. Thank you, council, for all your work, and our chair, our FedRec chair, Councilmember Duclos, for all your hard work, and all of us as we've gone through this budget. So, that being said, not to get all emotional about this, it's a special moment. Just kidding. You know, the budget document is really the governing document of your city, and it reflects our priorities. I mean, I think that's what I think what Councilmember Honda was referring to when we put together what our priorities are before the legislature. It speaks to what kind of organization we are and what matters to us. So I think this document does as well. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, council. All right, now, item D, Council Bill 661, the 2015 property tax levy. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 661, 2015 property tax levy, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, fixing the property tax amount for the year of 2015.
All right, and Councilmember Duclos, Chairman Duclos.
I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Council Bill 661, the 2015 property tax levy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the matter passes. Council reports. We'll start with position number 1, Councilmember SEPA Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm extremely excited about the Youth Commission. I know we already said it, but I had to repeat it. I attended the community design workshop on the 22nd with a few of my colleagues, and it was such a great exercise and experience to have citizens participate in this process. And so I'm looking forward to the outcome and to the result for that event. And then also going to Roger Freeman's service. It was really moving, touching, and what legacy that he has left behind. And it's really great, and it's such a loss to have lost him. And then I also want to thank Councilmember Honda for really pursuing, and for everyone who participated in this conversation about the hygiene center. And hopefully we'll get one going soon, because it's really needed by the people who have nowhere else to go. And so hopefully this really moves forward and moves fast. And with that, I just want to say thank you very much for a wonderful year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and see you next year.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you very much. I too attended Representative, I'm tripping over my words here, Representative Freeman's ceremony of life, celebration of life. And it was quite moving, and I was happy to be there to support his family during this time. That said, I also want to talk about an issue that, about a situation that happened just recently in one of our schools. We had a guest from out of town come and speak to about 900 of our students, and the person, while well respected, made some comments that were disturbing to me. And the comments centered around, in some regard, around children and people not being able to trust police officers or firefighters. And knowing our community as it is, and knowing the stellar police officers and firefighters we have in this community, he wasn't speaking directly about ours, but it did come off as if none of them could be trusted. And so I just want to make it very clear that we have a wonderful force in both regards, and part of the issue was around diversity, and we embrace diversity in this community. And I think that we lead the way when it comes to diversity and inclusion in our city. And so anyway, it really upset me, and I hope that there is an opportunity for those children to learn more about the situation that was as it was being presented. And I mean, I'll leave it at that, but I just want to make it clear that I really stand for our officers and our firefighters, and they really do the best they can for our community. And unless you've done something wrong, you have nothing to fear. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. So last week was Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was last week.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is Tuesday, right? And so I'm going to do a little different report this week. I'm going to talk about things that I'm thankful for in the city of Federal Way. One of the reasons I'm thankful that we're going to be talking about a hygiene center is there's a homeless woman here in Federal Way, and many of you have probably seen her. She pushes a baby stroller with her belongings. When my children were at Silver Lake Elementary, she was a parent there. She has 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they're my children's age. And she was in the PTA, she was involved in the schools, and now she's homeless. And when I see her, it breaks my heart, because I've tried to help her over the years since I've reconnected with her, and I'm not, excuse me, I'm not able to, and it just breaks my heart. I can't get her to go to a shelter at nighttime, but in the daytime, I find her in the stores, in the mall. And for people like that, this is something that we desperately need in our community. There are so many caring, giving people in the city of Federal Way and in our community, and I know that they would support this hygiene center. I'd also like to thank our firefighters and our police officers. I too was at the same event that Councilmember Maloney was at. And my son has recently gone through training to be a police officer, and it was not easy to go through that training. It's very difficult. And our police officers and our firefighters put their lives on the line every time they're called out. And I support them, I respect them, and they're the first ones we call when we have a problem. I'd like to thank our staff here at City Hall. We couldn't function as well as a council as we do with our staff. It's just the truth. We have an incredible staff here, and our new city clerk realized that I drink tea and not coffee, so she provides me with hot water so I can have hot tea during the meetings, and just things like that. You know, we all depend on each other, and for people who help us do our job better, it's just incredible. And I'd like to thank our citizens. We have the most incredible people in this community. There's a need, and they respond and they reach out and they help that need. They help whatever it is. If there's a food drive, they provide food. If we ask for coats for children, they provide coats. And this is just one of the greatest communities to live in. And when I looked at the young people who volunteered to give up at least one night a month to go to a committee meeting, to serve on a youth commission, when they were so busy, if you read their resumes, they were so busy anyway. It's incredible. Those are our leaders in the future, and that's what our community is all about. So I'm just thankful that I'm here in Federal Way, and I'm thankful for everyone I interact with. So you all make me a better person. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Sowski.
Thank you, Mayor Farrell. I had a delightful visit today at the Federal Way Senior Center, and I went there thanks to Jerry Lynn, who sent me the invitation. Went there to meet with some veterans, and I found that veterans meet at the Senior Center every Tuesday. There were probably about 15 or 18 of them, and I got a chance to interact with probably about 8 or 9 of them, and they were all from Korean and Vietnam era, and it was just neat to hear their stories. But especially one person really stood out. She was actually a World War II veteran. Her name is Dr. Mary Leeson, 94 years old, and was giving me a history of her service in the Navy and service since as a doctor, and actually as a dentist. Pretty fascinating gal. Anyway, I thank you, Jerry Lynn, for sending me that invitation, and I invite our other council members, if you get a chance, to go and see them. I believe Council Member Duclos is going next week. You're going to be delighted. It's a great group. But one of the things that they really brought up, almost all of them, or several of them, I should say, were at the flag raising ceremony, and they were so thankful for the city putting up such a monumental symbol in such a prominent place in our city, and just very, very thankful, and they wanted me to thank you and the council for getting this thing done. Of course, Bob Kellogg. So just a great day. It was very inspiring to me. On a personal note, my wife and I are going to be traveling to Fort Bragg, North Carolina next week to visit our son David, who's a captain in the Army, and we get a chance to spend, I guess, some pre-Christmas time with him and my daughter-in-law. And the day we come back on the 16th, he deploys to Afghanistan. And so we're very, very hopeful for that, that he's going to have a good tour and that he'll be home in time for the birth of his first child in May. So we're very, positively anticipating a good deployment for him as well. So the next Land Use and Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for January 5th, 5:30 in council chambers right here. And again, like Councilmember Asefa Dawson, I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I will certainly first want to take the time to thank the council and the mayor and the hundreds of individuals that attended the celebration of life of Representative Roger Freeman. And I can certainly tell you that in all the time that I've gotten to know him and all the times that we've ridden together, I can assure you that what we experienced at that time, at that day, with that event, it's exactly what Roger and I dreamed of doing, bringing the community together, celebrating the cultures of this community, and coming together to celebrate life. And so I really appreciate my colleagues attending this. I think it meant a lot to me. I know it meant a lot to Sonia and the family. And also, quite frankly, I want to say thank you to Susan, because the homelessness has been my issue that I've been wanting to bring up for the whole year. And I'm glad that we're finally talking about it, because it has to become an important topic, just as it is with the PAC, just as it is with other economic opportunity. We cannot forget about the men and women and the kids that are sleeping outside, that are trying to find food, that are trying to access resources. I know that every Monday I take the time to serve Monday night suppers through the caregivers. And it's something that I experience every single time. And it makes me humble, and I really feel like it's important that we as a city take and continue to lead in the way, to lead in the direction of ending homelessness. And so I know next year, I'm looking forward to working with the mayor and council on identifying strategies to end homelessness. I think it's possible. I know that some people may see that it's impossible, but I'd like to see if we can take leadership in our county and our state to actually say we as a city are going to end homelessness. And I want to see if we can build resources so that our cops are carrying brochures that say here are the resources. I know the city of Colville in California is doing this in my research. So I just want us to become more proactive. Our city has done great work in partnering up with the hundreds of amazing nonprofit organizations here throughout the city. But more needs to be done. And this is a core principle, this is a core value. And I look forward in working with everybody on this because I know that we all want to see this happen. And lastly, I also want to say thank you to the staff. This is, I've officially been on the council for a year. And what a humble experience. That's what Senator Eide talked about earlier. It weighs very heavy in my heart to have this opportunity, and I'll try not to get emotional here, but to be able to sit up here and be a partner on behalf of the public. And that carries very heavy, and it means a lot, and it's something I don't ever forget about every single day. That it's an honor, it's a gift, it's a huge trust that the people have bestowed on me. And so I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to the staff. Especially, I have to do this, a shout out to Jerry Lynn. She has done an amazing job keeping me straight and keeping me organized, and so I sincerely appreciate that. And thank you to the mayor and to the council for your guidance. I've definitely learned a lot, and there's a lot more learning to do, and I look forward to the year 2015. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Duclos.
That's really hard to follow, Martin, not fair. Actually, regarding Councilmember Maloney and talking about the police, thank you very much. I really, truly support the police. And they know, when I was a kid, my grandfather took me aside. My grandfather was my idol. I loved the man. He was really dear to me. We were buddies. And he took me aside one time and said, if you're ever in trouble, find the nearest policeman. He's your friend, and he will help you. And I've never forgotten that. And our police department is just like that. They're full of wonderful people from every rank and from every position. And I thank them for being there. I thank you, Chief, for your work. And I thank you, Brian, for your work before as Chief. Keep up the good work. And also, I hope everybody had a very good Thanksgiving holiday. I know I was with friends, and we enjoyed the day and didn't eat too much turkey and didn't fall asleep in front of the football games. I do want to say that I hope people will be at the Christmas tree lighting coming up on Saturday, and I will pray for a warm day, sun, no rain, and no wind, but this is the Northwest, as we all know. I also wanted to talk to my council members here because the South Valley Caucus is happening on December 17th this year, and this is where we appoint our representatives to the Sound Cities Board of Directors or representatives. And it's always held in Kent. And I would like to fight for us to have it held in Federal Way once, and then maybe in Auburn another time, because it represents the South County area, but we're always all going to Kent. And of course, they have a lot more members than we normally have. So I would ask every council member to please go to that meeting. It's on the 17th. I believe it starts at 6:30, and I think maybe we'd be able to outvote them for a change. Let's see. I think the last thing I want to say is, I'm not even going to talk about solid waste tonight. It's just, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a very, very happy holiday, and see you all in 2015.
Very good. All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you. Just briefly on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, that the next meeting is in the process of being scheduled, so stay tuned for that. The Sound Cities Association has their annual meeting tomorrow night, and I know several council members will be attending that, as I will also. That meeting is in Renton. I also wanted to mention some upcoming events that our performing groups in Federal Way are sponsoring to celebrate the holidays, and encourage everyone to make reservations, because these are groups that put on outstanding performances, and some of them are known to have full houses. First of all, Center Stage Theater has what they call their annual Panto, which is a form of what I would call musical comedy. It's originated in England, and it's become a wonderful tradition in Federal Way. And that has already begun this past weekend. It continues through December 21st. So contact Center Stage Theater either online or with a phone call for that one. The Federal Way Symphony has their holiday concert this Sunday, December 7th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at St. Luke's. Rosebud Theater has a wonderful production coming up. It's a radio show, so to speak, and it is A Wonderful Life, which has been a holiday favorite, and that continues through the 14th of December, and you can contact Rosebud Theater for information on that, the specifics. Then the Federal Way Chorale has their holiday concert coming up, and there are two performances, Friday, December 12th at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday, December 14th at 6:30 p.m., and those are also at St. Luke's Church. And all of these organizations have received some funding assistance from our Federal Way Arts Commission, which has an annual contracts for services application process that these groups can go through to receive that kind of assistance. I wanted to mention that I also attended the event at one of our local schools that Councilmember Honda and Councilmember Maloney mentioned. And while I'm very sensitive to the concerns that they expressed, I have a somewhat different take. I have the highest regard for our own police department in Federal Way, and as indicated by the renewal of the CALEA standards here in Federal Way, indicating that we have a department that functions at a very high level. That isn't true in every single department, police department across the country. And I think that, you know, while that is unfortunate, it is a reality, and I believe the young people who were at that event have been made aware through the news and other sources of some of the conflicts that have resulted. And I certainly hope also that the teachers and the personnel that work with those young people are helping them to understand the differences that exist, and the fact that we all need to work to make sure that the highest standards are followed, and that there are effective management procedures that continue and are instated if they don't exist, and so that there are the kinds of relationships in our communities that we all want. And I want to thank our own city personnel, everyone who works so hard here to make this an outstanding city, the outstanding city that it is, and I wish all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
All right, and with that, we are adjourned. So I'm going to leave my house.